Hi everyone, welcome to Chinese Anchor. Today we're going to talk about four haunted stories from the Forbidden City. Previously, we shared a travel guide to Beijing and mentioned the Forbidden City, an absolute must-visit for any Chinese person traveling there. But today, instead of a story or architecture, let's dive into the chilling supernatural side of the palace. This is perhaps the most famous story, often called Ghostly Palace Maid. It is said to have happened 33 years ago. In 1992, on that day, the sky above Beijing was gloomy, thick with dark clouds. A thunderstorm was rolling in. Tourists in the Forbidden City scrambled for shelter as the rain poured down. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning tore across the sky, illuminating the red palace walls. In that dazzling instant, shocked tourists claimed to see a group of palace maids dressed in Qing Dynasty clothing. They appeared almost dreamlike, emerging from the walls, as if time had rewound itself. The women moved gracefully with delicate faces, as though they had stepped out of history. For a few seconds, time itself seemed frozen. And then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the maids vanished into air. The vision lasted 5 seconds, but one tourist managed to snap a photo. Supposed the only physical proof of this mysterious event. Later, scientists tried to explain it. They studied the palace's red walls and found traces of ferric tetraxide. In theory, under certain conditions, this compound could act like a magnetic tape, recording and playing back images and sounds. Perhaps when struck by lightning, the walls briefly released an old recording. A glimpse of a palace maids long gone. But many doubted the theory. Architects pointed out that the palace walls had been repainted many times, making it impossible for such an image to survive. Others even suggested it might be a glimpse into a parallel universe. What do you think? Near the Ningshou Palace Garden, there's a well known as the Well of Concubine Zhen. The name comes from Concubine Zhen Fei, the beloved consort of Emperor Guangxu. In 1900, during the invasion of Beijing by the Eight Nation aliens, Empress Dowager Cixi prepared to flee the palace. Disliking Zhen Fei and fearing she might slow them down or reveal secrets, Cixi ordered eunuchs to throw the young Zhen Fei into the well. She was only 24 years old. Legend says her corpse wasn't retrieved until a year later. Imagine the resentment, the suffering. Locals say her spirit never left. For decades, palace staff reported strange cries and screams near the well at night. Some even claimed that if you looked into the well at midnight during the moonlight, you wouldn't see stones or weeds at the bottom. Instead, water would appear, reflecting not your own face, but something else. Some say they saw faces starting back. Today, the well has been sealed with a smaller stone opening to prevent accidents. Tourists are often surprised at how tiny it looks, wondering how could anyone be pushed in. But that narrow mouth is a modern safety addition. The original well was much larger, terrifying. This one comes from the personal experience of a palace administrator. It was late autumn, nearly winter, and he was on night duty. The moon cast a cold light across the massive palace, creating deep shadows between the buildings. He was making his rounds with an old flashlight when he reached an area called Qing once home to concubines who have fallen out of favor and elderly palace maids. Few tourists visited this part even during the day. At night, it was eerily silent. As he passed through a narrow alley, his flashlight frozen on something. At the end of the passage stood a woman, her back to him, and her hair in an old-fashioned bun, completely motionless onto the wall. He called out, "Hey, it's closing time. You cannot stand here." No response. He shouted louder. Still, the woman didn't move. Then slowly, she began to turn around. Her face was delicate, but unnaturally pale, drained of all color. And then she smiled, a strange, twisted smile, cold, mocking. Before he could react, she stepped backward, straight into the solid palace wall. Her body dissolved into bricks, as if melting into the wall itself. The administrator dropped his flashlight in terror when colleagues later found him. He was pale, trembling, and muttering endlessly, "The wall, the wall, it smiled." He died within a week, his health collapsing without explanation. Since then, security guards patrolling Shisansuo at night always quicken their pace, unwilling to linger in that cursed alley. The last story happened in the early 1980s. Two guards, A, an old hand, B, a newcomer, were on duty in a remote section of the palace. Around 2 a.m., B wanted to use the nearby public toilet. He had just closed the store door when knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks echoed from the entrance. Thinking it was A playing a prank, he called out, "Who's there? A, is that you?" Silence. Then after a pause, a deep, sticky male voice replied, "Open the door." Chilled, but trying to act tough, B hurriedly finished and opened the store door. No one. The corridor was empty. Only a dim light swayed in the cold wind. He shut the door and sat back down, unnerved. Minutes later, knock, knock, knock. The exact same sound. This time, his hair stood on end. Again he shouted, "Who is it?" The same chilling reply came, "Open the door." Panicking, he flung the door open again. Nothing. He fled in terror, running back to the duty room. A was still asleep in the chair, snoring exactly as before. He hadn't moved at all. When B told him what happened, A's face grew grave. He lit a cigarette, took a long drag, and said quietly, "The Forbidden City has seen centuries of history. Things exist here, whether you believe or not. Next time you use the toilet at night, don't go alone." From then on, B never dared use that toilet without company. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from China. See you next time. Bye.